The relentless pursuit of romantic love is a theme that runs through many stories, songs, and movies, often painted as the most sublime of human aspirations. This social narrative urges us to yearn for a relationship that promises everlasting happiness and rescues us from our anxieties and loneliness. However, this idealization of romantic love carries a less spoken reality. It's not always the source of everlasting happiness we so desire. Often, romantic love turns out to be a road filled with intense emotional highs and lows, which can swing from exhilarating euphoria to deep and painful anguish. This emotional roller coaster, according to scientific research, may not be beneficial for our mental and physical health. This viewpoint gains even more strength when we consider teachings such as those of Buddhism, which suggest that romantic love can even be an obstacle to true happiness. Contrary to prevalent social narratives, the idea of avoiding falling in love or even questioning the supreme importance of romantic love emerges as a topic worthy of contemplation, especially for the more skeptical or rational individuals. This video aims to dive into this discussion, exploring reasons why, perhaps, we shouldn't place romantic love on the pedestal it commonly occupies. The intention is to provoke deep reflection on how we view romantic love, challenging the viewer to reconsider preconceived notions and to understand that in some circumstances, avoiding falling in love can be a wise and beneficial choice. This approach not only broadens our understanding of love, but also encourages us to seek a more balanced and authentic well-being. Before we start, make sure to check your subscription and don't forget to leave your opinion, as it helps strengthen our community. First reason, romantic love is addictive. When we fall in love, we experience a radical transformation in our perception of the world around us. People who once annoyed us now seem tolerable, and activities we hated become bearable. The world is colored with a new and vibrant glow. Even the sky seems bluer, and everyday problems vanish, as if melting under the heat of a radiant sun. This euphoria, this altered state of consciousness, makes the experience of falling in love unique and intensely desirable. Suddenly, everything that once seemed important loses its value in the face of this new and overwhelming sensation. The previous life, which once seemed so monotonous and colorless, gains new hues, vibrating with an energy and fullness unknown before. In this light, romantic love takes on an almost supernatural, mystical character, celebrated in countless forms of art and literature throughout human history. Bertrand Russell, the renowned British philosopher, captured this essence by stating that romantic love is perhaps the source of the most intense pleasures life can offer. He saw in the love between a man and a woman, marked by passion, imagination, and tenderness, an invaluable value, something whose absence represents a great loss for any human being. However, this enchanting view of romantic love hides a potential danger: its ability to create addiction. Like any addiction, romantic love can be an incessant pursuit of a state of ecstasy and escape from reality, where life without love seems devoid of meaning. This emotional dependency can lead to a cycle of intense emotional highs and lows, with significant impacts on mental health and overall well-being. The question that arises, therefore, is, to what extent is this dependence on romantic love healthy and sustainable in the long term? The scientific understanding of passion and romantic love reveals that they are intense experiences, largely due to the release of certain chemicals in the brain, such as dopamine and oxytocin. These neurotransmitters are linked to feelings of lust, excitement, euphoria, and attachment, all crucial components of the phenomenon of attraction and the formation of emotional bonds. The fascinating aspect of this dynamic is its similarity to the experience of consuming intoxicating substances, a comparison made by some scientists. Dr. Helen Fisher, a renowned biological anthropologist, offers an intriguing perspective, comparing romantic love to the effects of cocaine. In her article in the scientific journal Nautilus, she highlights the parallel between the state of being in love and the behavior of a drug addict. This analogy is based on brain imaging studies that show the activation of the same brain regions in people who are in love and in individuals under the influence of drugs. According to Fisher, one of the most striking aspects of romantic love is the intense desire that accompanies this state, a fundamental element also found in addictions. She describes how the lover, in their growing obsession, seeks more and more interaction with the object of their affection, a phenomenon known in addiction literature as intensification. This obsession is not limited to seeking physical or emotional interaction. It also manifests in intrusive and constant thoughts about the beloved, a pattern of thought typical of drug dependency. This scientific approach challenges our traditional understanding of romantic love, suggesting that from a certain point of view, being in love can be compared to a state of chemical dependency. This leads us to question the extent to which this dependence is healthy and to what extent romantic love, so idealized in our culture, might have aspects potentially harmful to our mental health and well-being. The analogy of love as an addictive drug leads us to an intriguing understanding of romantic love. Just as with addictive substances, when we are in love, we develop a kind of dependency on the loved one. This intense feeling makes us long for the presence and attention of the other, constantly seeking to recreate and maintain the state of happiness and euphoria associated with the relationship. When this dose of love is not available, whether due to distance, the end of the relationship, or any other circumstance that separates us from the loved one, we may experience symptoms comparable to withdrawal in addicts. These symptoms can range from anxiety, deep sadness, irritability to, in more severe cases, depression, and a feeling of emptiness and despair. The process of detoxifying from love, similar to that of a drug, involves going through a phase of withdrawal. This phase is characterized by the need to gradually weaken the emotional and psychological bonds with the loved one, a process often painful and challenging. This process may include physical and emotional distancing, reflection on the relationship, and work to rebuild emotional independence and self-esteem. This understanding of romantic love as a potentially addictive experience invites us to reconsider how we approach our romantic relationships. It could be argued that awareness of this addictive aspect of love can help us form healthier and more balanced relationships, where affection and dependency are maintained in a harmonious balance, avoiding the extremes of disproportionate emotional dependency. Second reason, being in love distorts reality. The phenomenon of falling in love often involves an idealization of the loved one, commonly referred to as wearing rose-colored glasses. This metaphor illustrates the tendency to see the loved one in an exceptionally positive light, enhancing their qualities and minimizing or even ignoring their faults. This phenomenon, which we might call the love glasses syndrome, can have significant consequences in the choice of partners. Under the influence of these glasses, we become less capable of recognizing signs of abusive behavior, narcissism, or psychopathy in the loved one. Instead, these negative traits are often overlooked or interpreted more favorably. This can lead to harmful or even dangerous relationships where the well-being and safety of the individual in love are not prioritized by their partner. Furthermore, the idea that we are in love with the one person meant for us is another facet of this idealization. Logically speaking, it's unlikely that there's a single perfect person for each of us in the world. In reality, there are numerous possibilities for compatible connections. However, when we are in love, this logical notion is overshadowed by the belief that we have found someone unique and perfectly suited to us. This sanctification of love, where it is seen as something esoteric or predestined, elevates the experience beyond biology and logic. Such a view can lead to unrealistic expectations and a relentless pursuit of a perfect connection, often ignoring the practical reality and incompatibilities in a relationship. Therefore, it's important to maintain a balanced perspective on romantic love. Recognizing that love can involve idealizations and distorted perceptions can help us form healthier and more realistic relationships, where we accept and understand our partners as they truly are, with their qualities and flaws. The love glasses not only distort our perception of the other person, but also lead us to behaviors that can be risky and imprudent. Under the influence of romantic love, it's common for people to take risks, make irrational choices, and even abandon their own values and boundaries in the name of the desired person. This tendency to shape or alter oneself to become more attractive to the other can involve everything from small lies to significant changes in behavior and personal presentation. Furthermore, passion can prompt drastic decisions, such as infidelity in a marriage, where the intensity of feelings for another person leads someone to risk the stability and security of an established relationship. On a more positive note, when in love, obstacles that would normally be seen as insurmountable are perceived as surmountable challenges. Cultural and religious differences, conflicting desires about having children, psychological issues, or physical distance, which in other circumstances would be considered impediments, are now seen as barriers to be overcome. However, this optimistic approach often leads us to minimize the importance of these obstacles, underestimating the real problems that can arise in a relationship. This tendency to ignore fundamental incompatibilities and practical difficulties can result in significant problems and often in heartbreaks. Lovers, immersed in this distorted reality, may change their priorities and daily habits to accommodate the loved one, often taking inappropriate, dangerous, or extreme actions. There's even a change in personality, known as affective disturbance, where individual characteristics may be altered due to the relationship. Indeed, it's remarkable how many individuals in love are willing to sacrifice themselves for their partner, to the point of risking their own lives. This willingness for self-sacrifice in the name of romantic love raises important questions about healthy boundaries in a relationship and about how love can influence our judgment and decisions. Recognizing and understanding these dynamics can be crucial for forming more balanced and conscious relationships, where decisions are made with a more realistic consideration of consequences and personal values. Passion and the fear of losing the loved one can lead people to act in ways that are completely outside their normal nature. Behaviors such as pursuing the lover, making scenes in public, or in extreme cases, resorting to violence, are examples of how romantic love can lead us to irrational and often harmful attitudes. Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, offers a dark but revealing perspective on this dynamic. He describes the devil's laughter after copulation as a moment of sudden clarity where the illusion of passion gives way to reality. In this instant, after the satisfaction of sexual desires, the loved one, previously idealized, is revealed in their most mundane and physical form, a mere bag of bones and flesh. This raw image contrasts sharply with romantic idealization, highlighting the difference between the distorted perception of love and the more pragmatic and less enchanting reality. This notion suggests that when we fall in love, we become vulnerable to illusion, blind to the more common and less attractive aspects of our partner. Under the effect of the love glasses, we attribute almost divine qualities to the loved one, However, once these glasses are removed, whether by the end of passion or by the realization of the reality of the other, we can be surprised, even shocked, to realize how we were deceived by our own biology. This awakening can lead to questions like, how could I have fallen in love with this person? This phenomenon reflects the powerful influence of biology and brain chemistry on our perception of love and attraction. It reminds us that, despite all romantic idealizations, passion is largely a biological impulse, shaped by the need for reproduction and the continuation of the species. Recognizing this biological reality can help us maintain a more balanced perspective on romantic love, allowing us to approach our relationships in a more conscious and less deluded way. If you're enjoying this, don't miss out on the opportunity. Purchase the ebook now, Stoicism in the 21st Century, Ancient Strategies for Modern Challenges, and unlock your prosperity, abundance, and improve your relationships with this ebook. Link in the pinned comment. Third reason, romantic love can be painfully excruciating. The cyclical nature of human experiences is vividly manifested in the realm of romantic love. The intensity and pleasure of falling in love have their counterpart in an equally intense and often painful decline. The end of a romantic relationship or unrequited feelings often leads to a whirlwind of negative emotions, such as despair, profound sadness, and other forms of emotional pain. The vast array of artistic works dedicated to broken hearts, whether songs, poems, or stories, attests to this reality. Author Anita Bruckner expresses this duality by pointing out that the essence of romantic love lies in its wonderful beginning, but sadness and impossibility often follow. Love, as an intensely emotional experience, sets the stage for a range of painful feelings, which can include sadness, anger, jealousy, among others. These emotions can be so strong that they lead to extreme consequences, such as depression, continuous crying, and in more severe cases, even suicide or homicide. From a Buddhist perspective, the pain associated with romantic love is seen as a manifestation of attachment, considered the root of all suffering. This attachment or intense desire for something or someone creates an emotional dependency that can lead to profound suffering when expectations are not met or when the object of desire is lost. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, offers us a wise perspective on this dilemma. He reminds us that desire leads us to seek possession of what we want and aversion to avoid what we do not want. However, the inability to satisfy these desires or avoid aversions results in unhappiness and disappointment. This is particularly true in romantic love, where the intensity of desire and attachment can lead to deep disillusionment and emotional pain when things do not go as expected. These perspectives invite us to reflect on the nature of romantic love and to consider the importance of balancing our emotions and expectations regarding love. Recognizing the impermanence and cyclical nature of love can help us approach relationships with greater awareness and emotional resilience, minimizing the pain and maximizing the joy that love can bring. The relationship between romantic love and attachment is profound and complex, as highlighted by Buddhist monk Ajahn Sona. In the context of romantic love, this attachment manifests as an intense emotional dependency on the loved one, often leading to the belief that our happiness depends exclusively on this person. This form of attachment can be considered one of the strongest that a human being can experience, as the loved one becomes the center of our emotional world. Ajahn Sona emphasizes the inherently suffering nature of these romantic relationships, where change is the only constant. Changes in feelings, life circumstances, or personal needs can lead to an imbalance in the relationship. When one partner wants to end the relationship and the other does not, inevitable suffering arises. This situation illustrates the terrible nature of attachments, where, regardless of the outcome, suffering is almost guaranteed. If one partner remains in the relationship, they suffer. If they leave, the other suffers. This dilemma highlights the problematic nature of emotional dependencies in romantic relationships. This Buddhist perspective offers valuable insight into the complexities of romantic love. It suggests that the attachment inherent in romantic relationships is a potential source of suffering, as it creates expectations and dependencies that are rarely sustainable or entirely satisfactory. The challenge, then, is how to manage this attachment in a way that minimizes suffering and promotes a healthier emotional balance. Recognizing and understanding the nature of attachment in romantic relationships can be a crucial step towards developing a more mature and conscious approach to love, where personal well-being and happiness do not depend solely on another person, but also on a deeper and more balanced understanding of one's own emotions and needs. The question of whether or not we should avoid falling in love touches on a crucial point of human experience, addressing the eternal dichotomy between emotion and reason, or, as Nietzsche would put it, between Dionysus and Apollo. On one hand, there is the rational approach, which argues for emotional restraint to maintain inner peace and mental clarity. Avoiding falling in love might mean evading the intense emotional highs and lows and the pain associated with romantic love. On the other hand, there is the recognition that passion and primal instincts are intrinsic parts of human nature. These elements, though often irrational, are fundamental to many of life's most profound and meaningful experiences. Romantic love has been a driver for the creation of remarkable works of art, the formation of societies, and even the impetus for the establishment of empires and the achievement of great deeds. It is a powerful force that not only drives the formation of bonds between couples and families, but also enriches life with depth and intensity that go beyond the purely logical or rational. Thus, despite its capacity to cause suffering, romantic love also holds undeniable value, as highlighted by Bertrand Russell. Ignoring its value could be a great loss to the human experience. The challenge, then, is to find a balance between embracing emotions and maintaining rationality. It is possible to fall in love and still maintain a balanced perspective, recognizing both the beauty and the potential dangers of romantic love. Ultimately, the decision to fall in love or avoid romantic love is deeply personal and varies according to each individual's life experiences, beliefs, and values. The key may lie in seeking a deeper understanding of oneself and of love, allowing for enriching emotional experiences while remaining aware of their potential pitfalls. Fourth reason: unbalanced relationships. In addressing the challenges of unbalanced relationships, Stoic wisdom offers a valuable perspective that can be incorporated to understand and tackle emotional dependency. In the context of Stoicism, maintaining a sense of autonomy and control over one's own emotions and reactions is key. According to this philosophy, our happiness and inner peace should not depend externally on other people or circumstances, but rather on an internal understanding and control of our own perceptions and actions. Applying this to relationships, we often find that one or both partners may end up sacrificing essential aspects of themselves, interests, hobbies, friendships, personal values, in an attempt to satisfy or please the other. This behavior, often driven by emotional dependency, can lead to the loss of individual identity and the emergence of feelings of dissatisfaction and resentment. Stoic wisdom teaches us that while it is natural and valuable to want the well-being of a partner and to seek a harmonious relationship, this should not happen at the expense of our own well-being and identity. Emotional dependency creates a cycle of need and gratification in which individual happiness becomes excessively tied to the presence and approval of the partner. Stoicism advises us to seek a balance where we recognize and accept the things we cannot control, such as the feelings and actions of our partner, and focus on what we can control, our own reactions, emotions, and decisions. In a relationship, this means maintaining one's individuality, pursuing personal growth, and not sacrificing personal autonomy. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of mental clarity and serenity. In an unbalanced relationship, the emotional turmoil caused by dependency can cloud judgment and lead to hasty or unbalanced decisions. By applying Stoic principles, we can learn to maintain a clear and balanced perspective, approaching relationship problems in a rational and serene manner. Finally, it is essential to remember that for a relationship to be healthy and balanced, both partners need to feel supported and valued, maintaining their individuality and autonomy. Stoic wisdom encourages us to find a balance where each individual can grow, both individually and within the relationship, promoting an environment where emotional dependency is replaced by a partnership of mutual respect and healthy emotional support. Fifth reason, the pursuit of completeness. The pursuit of completeness in the context of romantic love often leads us into dangerous territory where we place an unrealistic expectation on another person to fill all our emotional, psychological, and even spiritual gaps. This longing for completeness, viewed through the lens of Stoic wisdom, reveals an excessive dependency that contradicts the principles of self-sufficiency and internal control over our own lives. In Stoic philosophy, we are reminded of the importance of finding contentment and self-worth within ourselves, rather than depending on external sources. When we place our happiness and sense of value in the hands of another person, we are abdicating our personal power and creating a vulnerability where our emotional stability is subject to the actions and emotions of the partner. This type of dependency not only creates unrealistic expectations for the relationship, but can also lead to a significant loss of one's own identity and autonomy. The Stoics advise maintaining clarity of thought and recognizing what is within our control. By expecting another individual to meet all our emotional and psychological needs, we are placing an unsustainable burden on them and creating a scenario for disappointment and resentment. It is a common trap to believe that the presence or action of another person can complete us or make us entirely happy, but in reality, this is beyond the control of any human being. Moreover, by becoming overly dependent on our partner, we may start neglecting our own interests, values, and even our personal growth. Stoic wisdom encourages us to cultivate our own inner strength, work on our emotional and psychological self-sufficiency, and seek happiness in a more autonomous manner. Ultimately, the pursuit of completeness in romantic love can be a futile quest if we ignore the need to find a balance between our own needs and those of the relationship. True Stoic wisdom lies in the understanding that completeness comes from a sense of self-satisfaction and self-knowledge, and not from the presence or action of another person. Recognizing this can lead us to form healthier and more balanced relationships, where emotional dependency is replaced by a partnership of mutual support and respect for each individual's uniqueness. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your opinion in the comments. Gratitude.